Greetings and welcome back to another episode of How to Digital History. In this episode, we're going to talk about your domain, getting a domain for yourself or for your project, and we're going to talk about the process of actually registering your domain. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is find a domain registration service. Now, I'm going to use Namecheap. Namecheap is my favorite. There are, of course, many others. You may have heard the most popular one, at least, is GoDaddy, GoDaddy.com. And GoDaddy is very popular mainly because of how much advertising they do, and so there's a layer there of marketing that you need to be aware of. The reason why the marketing aspect of this is important is because when you see a website such as GoDaddy advertising to the general population, to the entire world, by buying Super Bowl ads and so forth, they are essentially advertising to the lowest common denominator, to everybody out there. Right? They're not really advertising to the industry itself. And that's a big difference between GoDaddy and someplace like Namecheap. Namecheap is primarily a website that people who are within the industry, people who know what they're doing, people who are not in any way phased by making websites or doing digital projects of any sort, this is the website that many of them might use. There are other great services out there as well. There's One-on-One, there's Register.com, there are many other services that essentially do the same thing, is register your domain name, making it yours. Now, of course, by domain name, I'm talking about your URL, your .com, right? So if you're Google, Google's domain is google.com, right? So if your name is John Smith, you might want to get a domain name that's called johnsmith.com. Pretty sure that's taken. But a domain name is your brand online. Okay, this is what you will give to other people to find your product. So it's fairly important that you choose a good name and that you register it with somewhere that it's reputable. Is GoDaddy reputable? GoDaddy is reputable enough, meaning they are a well-known service, and they do offer a fairly good price. However, GoDaddy tends to give you a lot of options that you don't need and tries to upsell you with every single one of those options. Registrants who focus within the industry, like Namecheap, don't do that. There's no upsell within the process of registering. Let's take a look. So, for example, I'm going to start a new project. It's actually an old project. I'm just going to sort of create it for you through a series of episodes here. So I've chosen a domain name, right? Carto Rico. Okay, Carto Rico is going to be a website for the cartography of Puerto Rico. Okay, so this will be a collection of maps and documents relating to the cartographic history of the island of Puerto Rico. So I've chosen the name Carto Rico to, kind of a play on words of cartography and Puerto Rico. I'm sure you get it. And of course, I'm going to choose a .com address. Now, why .com, why .org, or whatever? .com is typically for corporations, right? It's a company, .com. You might notice that my own website is michaeldelis.com. There is also .org. .org is for organizations, typically nonprofits and so forth. The thing is, none of these rules are really hard and fast. There's, of course, edu and a bunch of other ones, but the domain extensions are there primarily as an index to help sort of categorize these in a very broad sense. The truth is that .com is what most people associate with a website, and therefore if you're going to put out a website, .com is typically the best way to do it. .org would be the next one. I would, for a project, for a digital history project, I would go with a .com address. There's different theories on this, but it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, most people are going to reach your website by searching Google, not necessarily by typing in the address itself. And even if they type in the address itself, chances are that most people will automatically type in .com before anything else, before they find out that they're wrong. So .com is always a safer bet if you want people to find your website on the first try. So I'm going to write here cartorico.com, it's already there, and I'm going to click search, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm searching the database to see if anyone has registered this website. And it's telling me that, I'm going to close that. It's telling me that, one, the domain is available, right? cartorico.com, the domain is available. So nobody owns cartorico.com. That is wonderful. Now I have some options here, right? And it'll, on this list that comes up, it shows me all the different variations that I might be interested in. So for example, cartorico.com is right here, and I'm going to put that in my shopping cart, and I can look down to see if there's anything else that I might want. Some of these are these, .tech, .info, .site, .college. These are very brand new, and they're not intuitive to most people. .net, I would stay away from .net. There's no reason to use .net unless you are a networking company, unless you are an ISP, an internet service provider, or you're providing some sort of net service. I would say that .net might be a better fit. And here's, of course, is .org. And .org is great. I have a couple of websites that are .orgs, but the problem with the .org is that most people will type in .com first. And so if your website is geared at students, if your website is geared to be as publicly accessible as possible, I would stick with .com. You'll notice that some other options that you might be familiar with, like .gov, doesn't show up. .edu doesn't show up. .mil for military also doesn't show up. And the reason is because those are typically limited to organizations that fit those categories. However, if you are looking for a country-specific extension, if you're looking for a country-specific extension, such as .uk or .ca for Canada and so forth, those will sometimes show up, but sometimes you have to go through a service provider, a registration service provider in that country, in order to access those country-specific codes. That's not always necessary. For example, .tv is one that often shows up. Here's .tv. .tv is Tuvalu, that it's a Pacific island, and of course, .ca for Canada. In this case, we're good with .com. .com is good enough. cartorico.com sounds good to me. And so we're going to view our cart. And so here's the cart. What we have here is the fee for 1 year for the domain registration, which is $10.69. That's typical. Now, you will find that GoDaddy and a number of other places will give you a discount on your first year. And that discount can be wonderful, right? You're only paying maybe $3 or $4 for that first year. The problem is that usually then it goes up, and by year 2 you're paying $14 or $15 or $20 a year for that domain. And then moving the domains becomes problematic sometimes. So in this case, right, we have this domain registration, cartorico.com. Now it's showing me that there's an ICANN fee. The ICANN fee is the fee that is paid to the Internet Corporation of names, right? So this is the organization that maintains the index of what domain names are available. They are also the organization that essentially controls the URL extensions .com, .us, .edu, and so forth. And so the ICANN fee is, you will always see it. It is part of registering a domain. It is not always listed. Sometimes it is just part of the price. However, it's only 18 cents. and as you can see, it's just part of the process here. Now, also take a look at that with Namecheap, you get the Who Is Guard for free, right? Now let's change this to say 3 years. And for 3 years of Who Is Guard, it's going to cost me $5.76. Let me see if I can what the price is for 3 years of the website. It's essentially just multiplied times 3. Let's see if I can do 10 years. And at 10 years, you see it's also essentially multiplied by 10. I think there might be a small discount there. But for example, if you wanted to, if you know that this is a project that you will be with you for a very, very long time, then paying for a long-term registration might be a good idea. Why might it not be a good idea? Internet companies fail. Companies tend to collapse. They get bought out. They get sold, all of these things. And so, when you're paying very far ahead, you're sort of trusting that this company is going to be around for the next 10 years. I personally think that Namecheap is likely to remain around for quite a while, but 10 years is a long time. So I'm going to do a 5-year. So for the next 5 years, I'm just going to pay a one-time fee of $51.45 plus 90 cents, right? And I'm going to go ahead and choose the Who Is Guard for the next 5 years as well. And so for the total cost of $63.87, I will own carterico.com for the next 5 years, right? So before I confirm the order, it's giving me the option to enter a promo code. Promo codes are very popular online. You will find that most online retailers will have some sort of promotion going almost at any given time during the year. Very popular during end of the year, Christmas time, sometimes back to school period. So we're going to search the internet to see if there is a Namecheap promo code out there that we can use. And sure enough, here is coupons Namecheap. And so Namecheap itself promotes their own promos on their own site. And so here's Spooky Names is the promo code, and this promo code brings the price down of a registration from $9.66 from $10 a year down to $9.66. So it's a very small discount, and as you can see, it says this is a limited time offer and also restricted to 30 uses per account. Monthly coupons can be applied only to 1-year domain registrations. Right, so that makes me think that maybe this discount is only good for the first year. So we're going to take Spooky Names, and we're going to go back here and copy it in. Whoops. Paste it in. There we go. Spooky Names, and we're going to apply this. And what we see here is that I can't tell if anything changed. Let's see. Confirm order. Okay, now it's asking me to log in. If you do not have a Namecheap.com, which is, I imagine, the reason you're watching this video, you would then use this panel over here to create an account. You create your username, your password, confirm the password, so forth, and I would deselect the newsletter. However, the newsletter will let you know of any new promos and so forth. So if you want it, keep it selected, and then you create the account. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and sign in right now. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead and paid for the order. That square, that block that you see to the side, that's actually covering my payment information, just to keep it private. And at the moment, what's happening is that I've paid for it. The domain is essentially mine at this point. So I now have this carterico.com. However, if at this moment we go to carterico.com, we're going to see nothing other than the fact that it's been registered under Namecheap. So all that is, this is what's known as a parking page. It's just there as a placeholder. We now have to host a website, meaning we have to tell Namecheap. So we're going to go back over here. I'm going to click on set up your DNS, right? Now the DNS refers to the actual address into which that name, carterico.com, will send people to. Meaning that there has to be a place where you're going to build your website, and that place has to be hosted online. And so we have to tell Namecheap where that website will reside, where it will be hosted, so that anytime somebody writes down carterico.com, they will go directly to my website. At the moment, as I showed you, it is going directly to Namecheap's own server. So now we need something else. We need a hosting company. For that reason, and I'm going to click here to set up your DNS, and at this moment, right, it's giving me a tutorial on what I need to do, where do I need to go and do that. Before we do that, we have to choose a hosting service. And so we're going to use HostGator. In the next episode, I will show you how to set up a HostGator hosting plan in order to host your website that will be tied to the URL or the domain that you are using. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the video. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see. Right now I'm going through the basics. We will get into more difficult aspects of digital history, but I'm trying to cover the basics before we get any further. So let me know what you want to do. Let me know what you want me to cover, and we'll go from there. Okay? So see you next time, and we will begin in the next episode with setting up our hosting plan. Okay? So that's step 2. Alright. I'll see you next time. Bye.